very well see you right now. So if there are any questions, interrupt me or post in the chat, and then we can address them afterwards. My name is Katarina. I'm part of DG ENER, working in the unit working on consumers, local initiatives, and just transition. And we were the unit that worked on the Citizen Energy package, which was published last month on the 30th of April. And I'll go briefly into what an energy community is, because I didn't really know, what the different levels are of the people that are joining this webinar. ManagEnergy already talked about it a little bit. It's a legal entity that brings together citizens, SMEs, and local authorities to produce, store, share, supply, or consume renewable energy, so both heat and electricity. Usually they have a participatory and open governance model, and then reinvest the benefits either within the community. So it could, for example, also be through, I don't know, for common projects or for new energy projects. There are two different categories that I will briefly mention as well, just so you're aware that, there are different definitions at the EU level, and most of them also in member states, if they were transposed correctly. How does it work? Well, as said, members come together, they set up a legal entity, which can be a cooperative, an association, or a limited liability company, and then they invest into energy efficiency measures or in renewable energy capacity. And as you can imagine, even if municipalities are not directly involved, they're a key actor because they can make or break the success of a project. If there's too high burden of administration, or if there's political opposition, this can really hamper or if there is also just no awareness or no capacity on the side of the municipality of what the concept is, this can really hamper the success of or the uptake of an energy community. Then they share the electricity. They can sell electricity or the flexibility on the market. They can also distribute heat locally. So there are a lot of different things, and energy communities are just the broader thing under which people can come together. I mentioned already there are two different definitions. There are citizen energy communities that are defined in the Electricity Directive, and renewable energy communities that are defined in the Renewable Energy Directive. The differences are mostly focused on the type of energy they work on or they focus on. So as citizen energy communities can be all type of electricity, renewable energy communities, all type of renewable energy, so also heating and cooling. And for citizen energy communities, you could say that in theory, they could also have fossil-based electricity, but in reality, that almost never happens. In citizen energy communities, anyone can participate, but only certain actors can be in effective control, and large energy companies cannot have any decision-making power. While in renewable energy communities, only certain actors can participate, and their participation cannot be their primary activity. And a big difference is also that for renewable energy communities, people that are members or organizations that are members have to be located in proximity of the projects. Meaning that, for example, if you, want to build an energy community in Poland and you want to have wind energy, then people need to be located close to, let's say, the sea when you have when you think about offshore wind, for example. Or and for citizen energy communities, that could mean that people live in the south of Poland, but then the project itself is located close to the sea. And then renewable energy communities are also autonomous, meaning that they basically they govern themselves and are not governed by an external party. Maybe an important thing to mention, which another thing that distinguishes energy communities from other market actors, is that they're social concepts. So they're not meant to generate, or I mean, they sometimes do generate profit, but their main primary purpose is not to generate profit, but to generate benefits for their community, either social, economic, and environmental. It can also be economic benefits, so for example, lower prices or return on investment, but in the end, this is never the primary purpose of why an energy community operates. And this makes them, this distinguishes them quite strongly from other market actors. I'm not going to go through all of these. This is just to say that energy communities appear throughout the Fit for 55 package, so throughout different directives. For example, they have a potential role in offshore wind, or in tackling energy poverty or achieving energy saving obligations, because obviously they are close to the people and they can raise awareness on the ground, or also help vulnerable households to insulate, for example. They could help deliver the local heating and cooling plans, because they can, again, also uptake heating or cooling their renewable energy community. They can contribute to zero emission buildings if they invest in energy efficiency measures. Yeah, and also energy communities can be a vehicle used by member states for the social climate plans to to any related measures to target vulnerable households, or transport users as well. If you say, for example, I don't know, you have cheaper EV measures, or I don't know. But there are different ways, and some member states have actually already done it. So we're currently evaluating the plans, and some member states have chosen to use energy communities for that. So yeah, they're a tool that's been tested and has stood over time. And now that you have like a rough overview of the policy or the regulation in place at the moment, I want to touch upon the Citizen Energy Package, which was published earlier this year, the communication on the 10th of March, and then the implementation package on the 30th of April. And the package is really, aims to make life easier for citizens to navigate the energy sector. So it's really built around the real life experiences. As you can see, there are a couple of questions that we always talk about to make it a little bit more digestible. So maybe some want to have a better point of information. So offers that are too complex, they don't understand their bills. The different contracts are difficult to compare. Others might say, well, my journey is shaped by vulnerability. I can't pay my bills. I'm behind. I'm afraid of disconnections. Or others want to maybe become active and say, hey, I want to take part in the energy transition. I want to make sure that I have stable prices. I want to join an energy community. And yeah, sorry, this is the wrong, along these different questions that I just outlined, the communication has 4 pillars, basically, with actions where we call on member states or the Commission supports. The first pillar is to lowering energy bills for households. Affordability is really a factor that goes throughout the entire package. The second pillar is on protecting and empowering consumers. The third one, tackling energy poverty and vulnerability. And the fourth pillar, which sort of spans over the other 3 pillars, is to implement existing EU laws. I'm just gonna show you a little bit what the different pillars are and the expected impact to a certain extent. So we call on member states to lower electricity bills by carrying out tax reviews and supporting electrification. This could save up to 200 euros a year per household. We also call on them to implement the guidance on network charge design to have a more efficient grid operation, to improve energy efficiency through the European Energy Efficiency Financing Coalition, to boost these technologies and their uptake, and also making the switching process and the comparing offers process simpler, because again, you can save quite some money per year by switching, and for some people that can be substantial in their everyday life. Maybe important to note here that the package is not a legislative package, but it's a couple of recommendations. So how to implement EU law efficiently or better, or over the time, what we've seen how some member states do it and what we think would be a good way to implement that. The second pillar here, the energy communities come into play. We developed a guidance for member states, to which I'm going to touch upon a little bit more later. There's an implementing regulation on data interoperability, a couple of practical guides on really how to implement community energy projects. Again, we expect a lot of savings that you could have per year, per household. We have a goal for energy communities to reach a certain amount of installed capacity and save CO2. That kind of goes together. There's a guidance on remuneration on flexibility and retail contracts. So because if you have a flexible contract, you can, and you're basically use demand response, then you can really save on your bill. A code of service on consumer rights, a guidance on summary of key contractual terms and conditions, and a guidance on supplier risk management. The latter is, in fairness, probably a little less relevant maybe to citizens directly, but basically makes clear how member states should act when suppliers go bankrupt, because in the last crisis, in the Ukraine crisis, or in the energy crisis that was happening due to the invasion of Ukraine, some suppliers went bankrupt and then sort of left consumers wondering, what's going to happen now with my energy contract? What do I do? And they were left in the dark. And this is all to have greater market transparency and also to increase trust in the energy market. And then the third pillar is on tackling energy poverty and vulnerability. Consumer behavior Eurobarometer survey that we did last year showed that this is really one of the things that people think should be are the most important in terms of consumer policy in the energy sector. So we will update the recommendation on energy poverty from 2023. We will update it, I think, probably towards the end of the year. There's technical assistance available and funding of projects, and also guidance on protecting vulnerable households against disconnections. And we hope to progressively reduce energy poverty, and then also have fewer disconnection and lower energy consumptions overall. This is a slide just to say this is everything summed up. It's a lot of information, but if you want to take a screenshot or if you want to go back to that, this these are the different pillars and the different impacts. But basically, this is what I just explained. And now I want to briefly touch upon the guidance on energy communities, because while this recommendation is more for member states, I think that it can also be really interesting for the local level. And that is because, well, we look at the different barriers that we saw that were reported from member states or were done through either our own EU projects. And one of the biggest parts, of course, is the enabling framework, because we see if we have a stable enabling framework in place, then the development of energy communities is much easier, and the sector thrives. Also, other barriers that have been identified and that we touch upon in the recommendation is the access to public funding and also private financing, awareness raising, capacity building support, because as you can imagine, if citizens come together, or even if a municipality comes together with citizens, doesn't necessarily mean that anybody knows how to set up an energy project. Even if you work in the energy sector, that might not be the case. So oftentimes there's either a resource or a skill deficit that energy communities naturally have. So capacity building support is really important. Social inclusiveness, because as I said, they are a social concept and they have huge potential to alleviate energy poverty, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they always do that or can always do that, again, because of these capacity constraints that I mentioned earlier, or also lack of awareness or lack of access to the different to vulnerable households. They have a huge potential to innovate, because they're sort of like small innovation hubs, because it's really the communities that decide on what they want to do. So this is also one of the topics that is touched upon in the recommendation. I want to highlight at this point a staff working document. So for those of you who don't know, usually a recommendation is always accompanied by a staff working document, where a recommendation is a bit more the formal document, and the staff working document really elaborates on the different recommendations, why this is good, what examples there are. And I think especially the good practices might be really interesting for you. Don't get discouraged. It's a long document. It's 220 pages, but Control F will be your best friend in this case. And I really encourage you to look into it if you struggle with any of these aspects, or want to just understand more or find good examples either from your own member state or maybe from a member state in the neighboring regions, because there are a lot of examples from energy communities, from member states, but also from municipalities that have found innovative approaches to address energy poverty through energy communities, or to make sure that they're socially inclusive, or these kind of things. And I think there is a wealth of good practices and interesting examples in there. So highly recommend to check that out. And as an addition to the recommendation, there is an action plan for energy communities, which is a set of measures that we will do from the Commission side to support member states in the implementation of the recommendation, and again to remove technical and financial barriers, and to reach the potential of increasing installed capacity up to 90 gigawatt by 2030 of renewable capacity. The structure is the same as in the recommendation. This is not surprising because these are the barriers that we identified, so it's clear that we also oriented our measures on them. A couple of examples. This is not fully, and if you're interested, also check out the action plan. It's much shorter. It's only 2 pages, but I think also very interesting to see. I think the first one I just explained. We provided a guidance to EU member states on how to how to have an effective enabling framework. We will continue to finance the Energy Community Facility. I think, ManagEnergy mentioned it. It provides early stage grant support for energy communities that are just starting out. So this will be financed for the next year. We support capacity building and awareness raising through the LIFE CET program, through peer-to-peer learning opportunities and secondary structures. Secondary structures is basically when different energy communities come together and they outsource certain services, these structures, again, we've seen that whenever these structures are in place, that helps new energy communities to form, because first of all, there's support available. There is these secondary structures are actors that know what energy communities are and how to help them and have maybe gone through the process themselves. And then energy communities can then also access cheaper services, like, for example, how do you do statutes in an energy community, or how do you do, also in the governance models, what is available and so on. We will promote social public procurement through the public buyers platform, and support the development of community-led microgrids and heating networks, because a lot of energy communities focus so far on electricity, but there's also a huge potential for heating and cooling, even though it's maybe a little bit more challenging due to the infrastructure requirements of heating. So these are a couple of examples just for you to see what you can expect. And I also have some further information if you want to access the slides later, or you can also just search on this on the internet. The Energy Community Facility has great resources in terms of one-stop shops and national policy frameworks. So there you can check basically what does the EU legislation say, how has that been implemented in your country, what is possible, what is maybe not possible. These frameworks are, or these booklets are quite comprehensible, and I highly recommend if this is of interest. And one-stop shops are maybe interesting for your region, and I encourage you also to look for other one-stop shops in your region, because maybe the overview doesn't show all of them. But basically, there you can get more information, or your community can get also more information. Then the Citizen Energy Advisory Hub was also shortly mentioned, will be presented in more detail in a couple of weeks. And it's basically it's also an initiative for Citizen Energy, and there are a lot of guidance documents, or also opportunities for technical assistance, and learning about best practices, webinars, and so on. So I highly recommend looking it up. And then there's of course the link to the recommendation and the action plan on energy communities as well, in case that is of interest. And now I think I'm a little bit over time already, but thank you very much for your attention. If there are any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. And thank you.
Thank you, Katerina. FYI, Katerina unfortunately needs to leave in a couple of minutes. So if any of you has one question, we can maybe answer it right now before we move to Sylvia. But I don't see anything in the chat or any hand raised. So thanks a lot, Katerina. And now I give the floor to Silvia Vivarelli from CINEA. I will share the screen for Sylvia. We'll just...
Thanks a lot, Mariangela. Good morning. I'm Silvia Vivarelli. I'm working in CINEA, the European Commission Executive Agency for Climate, Infrastructure and Environment, managing a number of EU funding programs on behalf of the Commission. And one of those is the LIFE Clean Energy Transition sub-programs that we manage. And Katarina already a bit introduced the funding we provide. So after the policy now, we are going to see some funding opportunities for homegrown energy. And in particular, of course, my focus will be on the LIFE Clean Energy Transition call this year. So next slide, please. So the LIFE Clean Energy Transition is a key funding program for DG ENER supporting the implementation of policies specifically related to energy efficiency and renewable energy. And it's a policy implementation and market uptake program, meaning that its main aim is to break market, regulatory, financial governance barriers, hampering the transition to sustainable energy. So is meant to really turn policy into action. And this is done mainly through these four type of action that we are supporting. So mobilizing investment, accelerate the rollout of clean energy technologies and services, empowering citizens, and support policy implementation at all levels. Next slide, just to show, this slide is just to show you the impact we have already, some impacts that we have already achieved since 2021 when this program was started. We have already mobilized more than 1,400 market actors engaged in around 300 projects. More than 500 energy community projects have been supported, as well as the setup of more than 50 one-stop shops for energy renovation. And also related to the work that also you are doing, we have directly supported over 600 cities to develop their clean energy transition investment plan. So has been quite successful of supporting the implementation of policies on the ground. You can also, we put on the slide that I think will be shared with you, the link also to a recent publication we have on some success stories from our program. Next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah, this one. Yes, so going to the core of the presentation, which is on the call that has just been open on the 21st of April with the deadline by the 16th of September. The total budget for the call, so we have 13 funding topics, and the total budget is a bit more than 85 million euro. And just to, for the ones who are not maybe familiar with our program, there is for most of the topic this requirement of having at least a minimum of 3 eligible entities from 3 different eligible countries. And the co-funding rate, so what proposal can get is the 95% of the budget. And there is here the link to the funding and tender portal for the application. I invite you also to look at the recording of the info days that took place at the end of April, where you have a detailed explanation, much more in detail that I could be able to give now to you for each of the topics. And also there are some national info days ongoing at the moment, so maybe you can check if there is one upcoming in your country. Next slide, please. I will not go through all the funding topic. Of course, the focus for this for today's presentation is on the energy community one, but I thought also that there are some other topics that could be relevant to local authorities like you to foster homegrown energy. And so I will briefly mention those as well, that are the one you can see in this slide and in a following one in red color, while in bold I put also other, I indicated also other topics that could be relevant, but I have no time today to present to you. So going to the specific call topic that is of most interest for the purpose of this presentation. So the next slide, please. The one supporting energy communities. Last year and in previous years as well, the focus was more on establish and expanding support services aimed at facilitating the setup of new energy communities, or also possibly the growth of existing one. And there was a specific requirement to engage local authorities. Well, for this year, we have a little bit changed the focus, and the involvement of local authorities is not anymore a requirement, but is still considered very beneficial. So the local authorities are expected to have a kind of crucial role to play still in creating the enabling framework. So we would expect involvement of local authorities as well in proposal for this year. But this year we are trying to be kind of more ambitious. So for being more ambitious, we are trying to support energy communities in two ways. So one is also to try to scale up and go a step further and diversifying and professionalizing activities also of energy communities. And this by boosting this what is called second level communities, secondary structure, federation of energy communities. Okay, they can have different names, but those are kind of structures that are assisting energy communities also by pooling resources and services. As Katarina mentioned, those could have really a role in boosting the development of energy communities, we believe, throughout Europe. And I will explain this a little, this scope A afterward, a bit more in detail. The other scope, so the other kind of way on which we will support energy communities is to implement projects. Somehow we will support the implementation of projects in emerging and more complex areas. So not the normal mostly PV project as we have been receiving until now, but mainly to explore other areas that are more complex. And I will detail those later. And this is the peer-to-peer support that was also mentioned by Katerina, but also other kind of targeted mentoring. So going to the next slide, for scope A, so the focus is on second level communities, which are coalitions that represent, aggregate, and serve multiple energy communities. This can be within a region or a city, so more locally, or even a country level. And they can target both the emergence of new second level communities and or even or, so in the same proposal, you can have the two different kind of support. So one on the emergence, so creating new ones, and the other one can be the consolidation and professionalization of existing already ones. And then, of course, if a new structure is proposed to be created, of course, that the need for having this structure, so the fact that there is nothing already available in that area should be clearly explained. And this somehow this kind of proposal and focus should be really kind of detailed in what is the proposal will intend to achieve, or what this kind of secondary structure will aim to achieve. So the mutualization of services for member communities, or supporting the development of the implementation of new energy community project, and also somehow it has to be detailed the role they aim to play in their ecosystem also, and also to guarantee that they will be sustainable after the end of the project. Going to the following slide, so with scope B, the focus here is on the implementation, as I said, of energy projects led by energy communities in this specific kind of what we consider more emerging areas, so not so much explored, especially in certain countries. So renewable heating and cooling, energy efficiency in buildings, but also the role that energy community have to provide flexibility services. And for flexibility services, we can have demand response or community energy storage, smart charging of electric vehicles, for example, or participation in dynamic tariffs. And there are a number of possibilities to provide the flexibility to the energy system. And that also is an interesting role that energy communities can have. And then there is also electromobility services that could be explored as a new areas for energy community action. Next slide, please. So looking at kind of other topic that could be relevant to you, I thought that the industry topic for this year, so the topic supporting the clean energy transition of European industry and business, in what concern one of the two scopes, so the scope B that will be financed this year, could be relevant, because in that also local authority can have a role, and the industries are called also to become more energy efficient and to use more renewable energy. And this through industrial energy cooperation for this topic this year, through industrial energy cooperation among industry in geographical proximity. For geographical proximity, we can imagine local regional industrial cluster, industrial parks, ports, and yes, this energy cooperation can refer to the process of sharing energy related assets like renewable energy generation, energy storage, or sharing energy services, having energy exchanges, and so on. So in that also we consider that somehow the homegrown energy so industry could really play a role for this homegrown energy transition. Going to the next slide, we have here other funding topic. This, of course, I'm not going now for the lack of time in detail. Also, there are also other topics that could be relevant to you, and I invite you to have a look to those as well. But going to the next slide, in particular for local authorities, somehow there is now a call to develop local heating and cooling plans, and in that, of course, we expect also renewable energy to play a role, and especially municipalities with more than 45,000 inhabitants have somehow have to produce, are requested to produce those plans. And somehow the idea of this topic this year is to provide targeted support to help local and regional authorities to develop actionable, we say actionable so that can be completely implemented, so realistic and integrated local heating and cooling plan, covering different energy carriers, infrastructure, and economic sectors. And this topic is also calling to facilitate joint action among municipalities to pool skills and resources and support energy system planning. So this one can be also quite a relevant topic to you. And the following slide is somehow the traditional is about a traditional topic that we have been supporting, so project development assistance, but which is still clear, have been a clear role to play in supporting local authorities, somehow to bridge the gap between the sustainable energy concept, so the idea that they have in mind, the plan they have in mind, and the actual investment launch. And then PDA projects provide technical, economical, and legal support to prepare and launch these investment pipelines of sustainable energy project. And that has proven to be quite important way of supporting local authorities in achieving the plans. This kind of assistance is quite demanding in a way also for the proposing local authorities, because then the investment has to be launched within the project duration, and somehow the investment has to be somehow 15 times higher than the EU grant support. So if 1 million euro is being received, then the investment should be at least 15 million euro, except for residential building like social housing, for which the requirement is 10 times. And I think that's all. If you go to the next slide, you will have the link to somehow our mailbox in case you have questions. Of course, you can also have questions now, but also for the future if you have questions. So we have a mailbox, but also I invite you to contact the LIFE national contact points, and you have the list on our website that you can they are kind of trained to provide you with the reply on eventual questions that are more adequate for your country context. And then if you go to the next slide, I want just to do a bit of promotion of the European Sustainable Energy Week taking place from the 9th to 11th of June with a focus on a clean, secure and competitive energy union. Is also hybrid, so you can follow online if you cannot participate directly, although is a very good occasion also to network with others that are sharing similar kind of projects or similar issues that you are facing maybe. And many sessions will showcase LIFE Clean Energy Transition Project. And on the following slide, you have just the link to all the social media and channels that we have promoting somehow the program, also the LIFE program. And with that, I thank you very much for your attention.
Thanks a lot, Silvia. And to add on ELSEF, actually the ELSEF Awards voting is still open. You still have 2 more days, I think, 2 or 3 more days to vote on the ELSEF website. And now, checking the time, I just give quickly the floor to Claudia Carani from the Citizen-led Renovation Initiative.
Thank you, Mariangela. Hello to everybody. Sorry, I'm trying to. Oh. Okay. A little bit slow. Yes. So thanks very much, Mariangela, and thanks very much for the invitation. I'm Claudia Carani. I'm the coordinator of the Citizen-led Renovation Phase 3. This Citizen-led Renovation Initiative is an initiative that is promoted by the Parliament that is looking for new approaches and concept to accelerate the renovation of the residential buildings. This is a EU-funded support services that is provided by the European Commission and is managed by enabling structures at European level. And the main aim is to activate citizens and in a collective way and accelerate the renovation of the buildings, putting them in the forefront of the energy renovation efforts. So the initiative is based on a community approach and is leveraging on existing energy communities, which have the role of facilitating the renovation process, engaging the citizen and the members of the energy communities, and also promoting renovation of the buildings in terms of envelope insulation, window substitution, technological replacement, and renewable installation. The idea is to work directly with the energy communities and engage citizens, organizing together with them collective renovation projects that can accelerate the renovation rate of the buildings in Europe. This is a bottom-up approach that is quite new because we are used to provide technical assistance as top-down mechanism, but what we are trying to do is really to work together with the citizen, understanding their needs and supporting them with also the engagement of the energy community in the renovation processes. The second objective is to increase the capacity of energy communities to provide services. So it's not only connected to the renewable energy installation and production, but also start to integrate, as was presented by Silvia Vivarelli before, the idea that energy communities should increase the service they provide and also work on renovation projects. So the CLR was not defined from the beginning, but was defined through different steps. So we had the phase one that was from 2021 to 2022, where the model of activation of the citizen was tested and different pilots were implemented on how to engage the citizen and activate them. The second phase was dedicated to learn how to implement services for citizen-led renovation in energy communities and test the services. And now we are in the phase 3 that that I coordinate, and as ICE we coordinate. The main idea is to move from a pilot experience of the phase 2 to a movement at EU level, and with a network of enablers. What are the enablers? Enablers are the backbone of the CLR. They are diverse organizations that really connected with the territories in Europe. Among them we have energy agencies, but also energy communities in terms of association or confederation of energy communities. We have NGOs, we have one-stop shops. So our entities that are really embedded within the territory are already working with energy communities and citizens. They have a capacity to provide technical, legal, administrative assistance to the energy communities and to the citizen, and they already have active initiative that can the leverage of collective renovation. So the difference among the organizations involved and reach the program in terms of pilot initiative that are tested from different perspectives, more technical or more social. So this is really interesting for us. Which are the countries involved? We are actually 11 enabling structures. Sorry, too fast. In 11 enabling structure in Europe, and we have the main aim to implement at least one project in each energy community. So in total, we will involve 33 energy communities which are launching citizen-led renovation collectives projects. The main idea is to provide technical assistance to the citizen-led renovation collectives, which are the energy communities, and ensure the correct implementation of energy renovation projects, and also to test innovative models to improve the local governance of the energy transition, and upscale the pilot initiative among Europe to create this movement that should also influence other initiatives. What we are going to do is increase the awareness and credibility of CLR model. The trust is one of the most important aspects of the citizen-led renovation, the trust in the energy communities, in collective approaches, scale up CLR initiative across Europe, and strengthen synergies with other EU networks and initiatives, for example, EU Peers, the Covenant of Mayors, like we are doing today, and other initiatives that are running in Europe. The goals and opportunity are to have policy changes. So what we want to do is to test pilot initiative, understanding the barriers and also the success stories, and bring them at EU level and national level to change the policies and the regulation in order to support more collective renovation projects. What are the neighbors doing? They are providing legal and governance support, so not only to implement in the correct way from the legal point of view the projects at local level, but also to improve the governance of the energy communities and also the decision-making process, for example, in the condominiums, and contracting of the procurement of the investment. And then we provide technical support. This is more embedded with the energy audit pre-assessment of the intervention, and also all the technical design if they are necessary. And we have organizational coaching. This is really connected with the engagement of the main stakeholder of the territory. In order to do this, we identify, we call them ambassadors at local level. So there are people that can really support the coaching and the exchange of communication among the main stakeholders in the territory. And we provide, we provide the financial assistance to support the access to finance, but also the definition of bankable projects, and also the stakeholder engagement and activation through communication and engagement of the communities. So we actually are working on the renovation journey. That is the journey that involve all the citizens in the Citizen-led Renovation Collective, and we are defining and supporting all the process, understanding which are the barriers and how to solve problems. So we have the community mobilization and early engagement that is regarding also the concept of the trust, because is from the first phase of engagement is really important to keep the attention of the citizen on the final goal of the renovation process, and it's really important also to cover the gap between the interest and readiness in the first phase. So after they show up the interest in being part of a renovation project, then we should keep them ready for the project implementation. So here the engagement is really strong. We are experimenting different engagement activities, and because it's important that the citizen don't drop off in this phase. Then planning to delivery is another important phase. Because we need to provide a really clear definition of the process and what the citizen have to do during all the renovation process. The steps for the renovation must be clear, and also the points where they are engaged must be really clear, and also when they have to be activated, and which is the process that we identified. And another crucial aspect of the process is the market engagement and contractor capacity. This depends a lot on the capacity of the territory. If we are in a rural area, the general contractor maybe are not really available. So the enterprises are more characterized by small and medium enterprises that work in building sector. So you must be very careful on the engagement of the companies, and then financing and funding. This is to align better the application of funding, and also to have all the documents necessary to apply for funding during the investment process implementation. And we have a final step, that a role of support structure that is about increasing the local authorities' capacity to coordinate and guide those processes, and support every stage of the process that are implemented in their territories, integrated also with the SECAPs. So briefly, what we are doing in some countries, for example, in Italy, we are working with actually 4 energy communities, we differentiate them. Some of them are cooperative, some are foundation, some are associations, so different legal entities. With also that dimension is completely different, and the members in some of them are more private, in other are more public. So we are working a lot on increasing the trust of the community CLR collectives approach, and we are working on capacity building of CLR collectives in order to support them in the management of the renovation projects. And we are addressing especially to single houses and condominiums, improving, testing and piloting different business models. And we actually launched the first project as buying clubs to facilitate citizens in the renovation market. So this is the capacity building activities we have implemented, is addressed to CLR ambassadors and also renewable energy committee members. And then we also define the buying clubs model with all the steps that should support the implementation of this project in energy communities. So we have the training course. We tested the interest of the private companies, but also the citizen in buying clubs through survey of interest. And we worked on the preparation of the documentation for the selection of the companies, and also the contracts, so all the legal aspects that can support the engagement of the citizen. Then we have the company selection with minimal requirements and future. We have the request of quote for major implementation. We are now focusing on heat pumps, PV plants, window substitution, and window substitution. So window substitution, and yeah, and that's all. And we defined all the process for the pre-registration of the citizen, the pre-assessment, which is mandatory to assess if the building, the apartment is compliance for the renovation. And we set up the on-site inspection when necessary. When then the assembly of the citizen choose the company for the intervention, and then we have the contractor phase for the signing contract with between the company and the citizen. We are developing also a platform for the all the management of the collective projects, also to be compliant with data protection, which is quite important in this process. So all the documents can be uploaded here on the platform that is a repository of documents, but also matchmaking platform to meet the private companies and publish the call for proposal, the call for tender for the private companies. So this is what we are doing in Italy, but we have other enablers that are working on different aspects. Just briefly, Ecovision, some example from them. Ecovision in Ireland is working on the concept of regeneration of the buildings, and they are renovating buildings owned by old people, and they are moving old people in new buildings with services, and they are renovating the building that belonged to those people, adapting to couples and families, because they are larger buildings, so they are not really suitable for all couples. And so they are working on this concept, also because in Ireland there is a high demand of residential buildings, and the offer is quite scarce, and so they are working on this concept to increase the capacity to offer residential buildings to the citizen, especially young couples and families. Then we have SPET in Greece. They're working on renovation with high standards of passive houses. So they are working with citizens to achieve the standard of passive houses in collective projects. Then we have Valencia. They are working as well on purchasing groups, but they're working more on the summer period, working on windows and awnings to shadow also during the summer period and reducing the heat waves. This is also addressed to vulnerable groups. And then we have Energy Summit Riverland. There are two cooperatives of energy communities in Netherlands, and they are working at regional and also local level. They're working on district heating networks to be built in collective way, and also the renovation of community centers and rental owner-occupied homes. And also joining initiative with the municipality and housing association. Then we have Energent in Belgium. They have a long time experience in collective projects of renovation, and they are collaborating with regional municipalities, offering a purchasing group for insulation, glazing, and solar panels. And they are expanding, including heat pumps and roof insulation, working on plus 60 buildings to be renovated. So this is more or less what we are doing. We have plenty of resources. I suggest you to visit our website to download interesting documents and handbooks. And we are also present in the next events. For example, we are at USEF, and we also are in European Bauhaus with a stand. So please visit us and be in touch with us in the future. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Claudia, and apologize to all. Unfortunately, we are over time. So we don't have time for questions, but we are happy to put you in contact with the speakers. You can contact us, the info to mayors. I dropped an email in the chat. Also, I will share the slides where you also have the contact details of the speakers. Thank you so much for joining, and have a nice rest of the day. Goodbye.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Goodbye. Thank you.